Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of The Locker Room. And we have a fantastic show lined up for you. I have three gentlemen with me on the show today. It's fantastic. This one is a Liverpool special. Well, not necessarily Liverpool special, but made special by Liverpool's performance over the weekend. Salah, the king of Old Trafford. And we will get right into it after this.
Oh, he's done it! Cometh now! Cometh the man! And it's that one, Mathew! It's 8 goals in his last 8 Premier League starts at Emirates Stadium. Salah! Wow! What a strike by Mohamed Salah!
Ball down the channel, and it's played into Fernandes in the penalty area. Oh,
Aguero looking for the 1-2 Balotelli. He's won the title!
Leveler, here's Harry Kane.
Kane goes for what a goal from in business here. Lukaku scores on second debut. It's only taken 14 minutes.
Brilliant. Welcome, everyone. If you're just joining us, welcome to the show. Feel free to like, subscribe, and share widely and wildly. And like I mentioned, we have a fantastic show lined up for you. With me tonight, or rather right now, on the show is Cossy. Cossy, you can say hi.
Hey guys, I'm looking out for this. I'm looking out for this. Hope it's gonna be something big, and thanks for always watching this, big show, The Locker Room, right?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, so welcome to the Locker Room here on Top 6 Fan TV. Cossy is an Arsenal fan, and he has his own channel as well. So feel free to head down to Cossy's Arsenal, Arsenal channel on YouTube and check out his content. Fantastic content. And we have Mr. Eric, who's a Liverpool man, Copite. Fantastic time to be a Liverpool fan. Eric, welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you very much, Mathew. Jamie Carragher said it. Liverpool, we're living the dream right now. Liverpool fans, we're enjoying it every bit. And what a Sunday!
Brilliant. And then, the man from Old Trafford, Mr. Musem, whose jersey has mysteriously disappeared. But we do welcome you to the show. From North London, we commiserate with you on the results from the weekend, but I'm sure we will get to hear your view on how things panned out. But be strong, my brother, be strong, and we'll get right into that. Actually, what a result at Old Trafford! Liverpool 5 and Man United 0. Let's kick it off with Musem. What happened? What happened to Manchester United?
Thanks, Mathew. It's very hard to tell you what happened, but I guess the whole world saw what happened. It was such a terrible performance from Ole's team, and I think today's discussion is purely Ole in or Ole out, and of course, as a strong, staunch Ole out, supporter, I think his time has run out. It's obvious. The results are there for everybody to see. The performances actually are even worse. So I don't know. Nobody knows what's happening. Really, it's a disaster of a showing. Yesterday was a disaster, to say the least. What a terrible performance. Of all games, Liverpool in such form, you come out and put out such a team. It was a disaster. It was a disaster.
Yeah, and this man here, Mo Salah, running the show with the hat trick. The only other player to have scored a hat trick at Old Trafford is Ronaldo da Lima for Real Madrid, and that was in a Champions League fixture. We all remember that demolition of Man United by Ronaldo and his Galactico buddies. But Eric, tell me, a victory well deserved. Was Liverpool in top gear and just too good for Man United, or one Man United just a shambles under their current leadership or rather management by Ole?
Yes. Look, for us, any day that we can make Manu look bad is really a good day. We've been flying this year. Last year was totally disastrous. Totally disastrous. So far, we've been lucky, although our midfield is getting depleted bit by bit, but that's okay. The front three are flying. Yota is also chipping in.
Yeah.
Our back three, Konate was an animal, he's like 22. Couldn't smell. He had the goat well tied up. Van Dijk is flying again. Van Dijk is flying. Our flying wingers, back, left back, right back. Look, it was all systems go, and for us, I was actually really pissed off with Klopp and the team because I think they did not want to go for the jugular around minute 60.
Yeah.
I think he sent a message that, guys, take care of yourselves, stay warm, don't go flying anymore into tackles after we lost Keita. So really, for me, I wanted 9. I wanted to go for the record, and we could have, but I think Klopp told them, guys, let's be nice.
Now, Mr. Musem, I don't know what you have to say about that, but I'll give someone else a chance to contribute to that discussion right now. Cossy, what was your take from the match that transpired? All I saw was a demolition of a so-called top 4, almost championship contender in Man United, thoroughly torn apart. What was your view of the game?
Yeah, I mean, I really didn't have a different view. I think they played so poorly, Manchester United. I said it when they were when the lineups were out. I looked at Liverpool, and for me, what I saw in that game is Liverpool were not far stretched in terms of quality, in terms of how they played. I didn't see a Liverpool side that had come to, play to play a massive derby. It's just that Manchester United made it so easy for them. For me, I blame it on Oli. I put it on Oli. However much I want to blame the players and whatnot. I think the midfield has always been a shambles for Manchester United. And when I looked at Liverpool's midfield, they didn't have Fabinho. They had Keita, who I think should have been midfielder of the weekend for me. They had Henderson. Credit, what an assist to Salah in the second half. Who was there? Who was that? Who was there? The other midfielder.
They started with Milner.
And Milner. It was so tactical from Klopp. You've got to give him, all the credit he deserves. It was so tactical. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, for me, he got it right. He got it absolutely wrong. Against Atlanta, I think they came with the same mentality. Coming back 2-0 down from Atlanta, it gave them a kind of that kind of confidence. Maybe we can go at Liverpool. We are at home. We are at the Old Trafford. We could just do whatever we want. I feel like I just felt like the midfield was, he lost the battle in the midfield. McTominay and Fred, I like them. I'm one. By the way, I'm one big fan of McTominay. I'm an Arsenal fan, but I like McTominay and Fred. I like Fred's work rate. If I had a player in Arsenal that has the work rate of Fred in that midfield, we are far better because he has the legs, he has the guts, he's working, he's hardworking and things like that. But for me, it was a battle of quality, and you're leaving a world-class player in Paul Pogba on the pitch, on the bench, and starting, McTominay and Fred. I didn't agree with that. Honestly, I didn't agree with that, and he just made it so easy for Liverpool. I looked at the first goal. That's a very cheap goal. The second goal is still a very cheap goal. The third goal, the midfield was a shambles, and it has always been a shambles for Manchester United. Since last season, there are two problems. They had Maguire and Lindelof. They brought in Rafa Varane. You thought they also had a problem of Fred and McTominay. You thought they could go for a person like Mavinga. You thought they could go for a person like probably Ruben Neves, someone to make that midfield count, someone to challenge. They didn't make Liverpool work for anything they achieved in that game. Liverpool didn't work.
Cossy, Cossy, let me
Yeah.
let me just cut you short there, because I don't want to lose the important points you're raising for us to
Yeah.
skip them.
Absolutely.
So I want Eric to react to the beta round. And unfortunately Musem has dropped off. I'm sure he'll get back on, but I want Eric to react to that beta round, the bit around Liverpool's tactics on the night and how they overpowered Manchester United's midfield. And then we'll, give that floor on to Musem to, to sort of share his reaction to Pogba being left on the bench. Yeah, so
Yes,
Eric.
Mathew. Look, when the team sheets came out, I skipped my heart skipped a beat. I mean, Konate had been bench warming for the better part of the season. I mean, Milner, Milner is old man Milner. He just goes in swinging. He misses the ball.
Konate is a raga, so he's actually
yeah. He really impressed me. Then leaving Mane out for Jota. So we were worried, and when we saw the Manu team sheet, I mean, Manu really, they can churn out 11 different players and they'll still be strong. But for me, Firmino won us that game. I mean, I know Cossy is saying we didn't do so many special things, and actually I agree with you, because even I was reading Jamie Carragher, I love Jamie Carragher. I think he's the most objective pundit, and he said we didn't play well.
Behave yourself.
He said we didn't play well, but we were just above average, but Manu was just so shambolic. And Roberto Firmino yesterday just did that false nine thing like on another level, because everybody who was popping in from the wings somehow Firmino Bobby was making 2-3 midfielders disappear just from shimmies and fakes. He was a colossus yesterday. So look, I'm not a very big tactical football guy. Me, I just see, like Musemba said, me I'm a raga. So I see things in a simpler way. It seems Cossy is the more educated eye. But for me, two things. But Firmino was phenomenal. Konate turned up, and Manu was just nowhere. Keita, Keita as well. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that we got the right guys on the day for the job. It was, the guys came in with their noses up, with their tails up.
Brilliant. And Musem, what do you have to say about your tails being down? Especially Ole's, it would appear. We did see Pogba. Cossy made a point about Pogba being left on the bench, the midfield lacking that cohesiveness in there to actually, win the midfield battle, because it was absolutely lost there. So what was your take on the starting lineups and the tactics, especially the exclusion of Paul Pogba?
First of all, I must say, Cossy is such a passionate Ole kind of fan. I wish I had that same energy today, but I don't feel that same energy. But he has some good points he has really put forward. But in terms of team selection, okay, one thing, I think Ole has lost the dressing room. It's clear now that whatever he's communicating in training is not getting onto the players' minds. So, one, Pogba came out, I think after the Leicester game, and said that the performances needed to change, the tactics needed to change, something needed to change. So ideally, Pogba is the voice of all the players in the dressing room, telling the coach that whatever it is that you're doing has failed. He made one important point. He said, we've had these performances for too long. And this is stretching all the way back to last season, where the team comes out, concedes 2 goals, goes into the dressing room at halftime, wakes up, comes and wins 3-2, right? The tactics have failed. And you see, Ole is setting up his team as underdogs. You know what underdogs do? They low block, right? Then counter attack.
Yes.
The last team to win a league by counter-attacking was Leicester. Leicester was an underdog, and that's why that story is so, romanticized, because they were underdogs. They were low quality, low that was Leicester's setup. So that's how Ole has actually been setting up his team throughout as underdogs. You can't win a league as underdogs. You can't low block and then attack. That said, for Ole to save his job and his life and his everything, that was the only way he had to set up yesterday. He's done it against Man City before. It has worked. Low block, big counter, and then score, right? That's all he had to do yesterday. That's the one thing Ole had to do yesterday, and he couldn't do it. That shows that the man is out of sorts. He's lost it. He can't even do just a simple, basic job to save his job. I mean, it was a disaster. It was a disaster.
So not even the GOAT, like Eric mentioned, the GOAT was all tied up. I think you see the GOAT here, Mr. Cristiano Ronaldo, could bail you guys out with Fergie time. What do you think what do you think has gone wrong from an attacking point of view? Because as much as we're talking about the midfield battle being lost, the reality is, I think for me, that Man United are lacking a sort of incisive midfielder to put in crosses when they need to break down resolute defenses down, which is what Liverpool was. So Bruno Fernandes showed glimpses of it, especially in the Champions League, but they're lacking that sort of. If I had to give an example, Phil Foden, how he was distributing the ball for Manchester City in the game that they played over the weekend. That kind of person who can unlock defenses, and Ronaldo at his age is more of a poacher. There have been some criticism levied of the entire attacking lineup for Manchester United, the front three or four, especially around the fact that they don't track back, help with defense, help with winning the ball, help with pressing. That is just not their game. They sit and wait further up the field for the ball to be released to them. So that is one criticism of United in terms of the way they play. But again, that can only boomerang back to the manager in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So Musem, let me put the question to you: is it Ole in or Ole out? And I'll go around after that. But what do you think? Does he need more time? His comments, actually, let me just mention his post-match one of his comments in the post-match reaction was that they've come too far to give up at this particular point. They put in quite a bit of sweat and blood, and he feels that he's close to achieving something special with this Manchester United side.
Ole out, definitely. However, Ole claimed that he's come too far and he's now close to what he wants. The matter of fact is that Ole is so far away from where he needs to be. Ole is so far away from the title, is so far away from Liverpool, from Man City, from Chelsea. He's miles far away. So the reports that are coming out is that the body is going to sit and everything. However, I feel Ole has done something for the club, okay? He has bridged that gap between Ferguson's time and all those managers that came in. Okay, the club was in a toxic environment, kind of. So many things were going wrong in the back. So Ole helped to bridge all that. He's a fan favorite, he's a darling, he's a legend at the club. They would talk about things like he talks to the canteen ladies and the kit men and all those things are very nice. That's a good story. That kumbaya has to stop. It's now time for the real football on the pitch. Now, Ole is so far away from the tactical geniuses that we see in the Premier League at this point in time. The Premier League has the best coaches in the world right now, and Ole is very far away from that. Actually, in the Premier League, I think Ole is like the 18th or 17th in terms of rank of coaches. I'm telling you, he's below people like Brendan Rodgers. He's below the Brighton guy. He's below Thomas Frank. So I don't know what he says.
I didn't hear you say that. I didn't hear you say that when Fergie time, came to fruition against Atalanta, man. You were singing his praises.
No, I said. Remember, I said in the last pod that you're peppering cracks. That's what they call peppering cracks. where you score all those last minute things. Ronaldo actually has been so terrible since I think the West Ham game. Okay, you ask me what is missing. Bruno Fernandes has created the most chances in the league. You hear that? But we've scored goals, but in terms of the performances, what's affecting all those guys' performances? Ronaldo. Why? Ronaldo doesn't have the legs. Okay, one, to play that counter attack that we were used to. When Rashford came back, you could see in just 2 games, you see what Ole has always wanted to do, where Bruno gets the ball deep and it doesn't matter. Sometimes he doesn't even look. He just releases the ball and the runners will get onto it, right? Rashford on this side, Greenwood on this side. Goals will come in and, of course, at Old Trafford, the fans will be happy. You'll be scoring goals. As much as the performances will be terrible, you'll be able to win games. You'll be able to beat on some small teams. But now Ronaldo is an obstacle. Why? Because Ronaldo is no longer that mobile. He can no longer take that quick, release the ball and we just take off, then play the ball back to us. It's affecting everything. Just know Ronaldo. We need him on pitch. We need him on pitch, but it's affecting the performances.
Let me bring in Cossy on that point there. Is the midfield clicking from an attacking point of view? Is Ronaldo actually holding back Manchester United? Because a few weeks ago, we actually thought that they would, win the title with Ronaldo coming on.
I mean, it's debatable when you say that because he's one of the best players in the world, and that is your word against that statement. But I think Musem has a point when you see how they operate with a striker like Edson Cavani. Cavani is old, right? But his work rate and the rate at which he receives the ball, the rate at which he creates spaces, the rate at which he gets into the final area. I think effectively, I think effectiveness, Ronaldo is better. But in terms of what they want to do as United, in terms of what Ole wants to do, Cavani is the better player, and you just feel like they play better. They play in a better way when Cavani is on the pitch, because he, like Musem says, they love creating spaces to run into, and that's what Cavani does. What Ronaldo does is he occupies those places. Those spaces. You've got to get the ball, fetch it for him, and then he scores. What Cavani does is, he's that kind of striker that draws away numbers out of that area. Rashford can run into it. Greenwood can run into it, and Bruno is gonna score you more goals because that area is free. That area is empty, and that's what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to do. I don't think he's a manager that wants to have the ball 80 minutes trying to execute a plan. No. He's far off better if the opponent has the ball and they grab it and they're running. And they run at you. They've been so deadly at counterattacks, especially with Marcus Rashford and Mason Greenwood, and they're very individualistic. If you look at them, they are so individualistic. They're players that can get that ball, run to it, run with it, run at you, and make your defenses really commit mistakes. So maybe that could be an argument, because he can't drop him. You can't drop Ronaldo. You can't. Right, and I highly doubt it was his signing. They only brought in Ronaldo because he was going to City, right? So they were like, we can't let a legend go to City to our better rival. Please come home, right? And there's no way you're going to drop him. But you can see how they play with Edson Cavani. That's the better example. He loves Cavani, and Cavani does understand how to execute, his plan. It's like Jota and Firmino for Liverpool. When you look at them, not so many managers would use Firmino to his best. I'm telling you, not so many of them. But for Klopp, that is him, and he knows how. And Firmino knows what Klopp wants. It's the same thing with Cavani. Cavani knows how to act like a proper striker. Ronaldo is a good striker, but he's more like a Zlatan kind of guy. Get me the ball, I will score you the goal. Right? It's not much about team play and everything. Give me the ball, I will score for you. I'm not creating spaces for you, nothing like that. I just need the ball on my feet. So He has a point.
Yeah, that's great stuff there. Allow me to cut through. I want to pull Eric in at this particular moment. Eric, as you can see from the visual, Cristiano Ronaldo had different ideas of where the goal was and where the ball was as well. I don't know what he was doing to our man Curtis Jones there, but I think he thought he was on a rugby pitch or something like that. But I want to draw the focus. We have discussed and debated what the issue possibly is with Man United. But I want to draw the focus there to how brilliant Liverpool were. Obviously, Paul Pogba there being sent off. But what do you think? Yes, you mentioned Firmino came to life yesterday, but from from a tactical perspective, what do you think? What do you think went right for Liverpool from a general tactical perspective?
Look, I'll start with what Cossy has just submitted. Ronaldo was a really poor buy because I don't know what Mathew or Ole were going for. Because you see, every successful team has that old warhorse in the locker room who is just everybody, who just holds everybody together and keeps the discipline up, is whispering things in kids' ears. Mathew has Mata, it has Cavani, it brought Varane, and then you add on Ronaldo. Those are four
experienced players.
What's the word? Those are four very experienced players. You just need one or two. I mean, we have old man Milner. That guy, he does that job for us. Keeps the kids in check in the locker room. So it was really a poor buy, and he has no legs. He can't play the false nine like Cavani and Firmino for his age. Even Zlatan did a better job maybe than him. And Ole, sadly for Ole, he just doesn't have what Musem was saying. He just doesn't have the pedigree to command Pogba's attention, to command Bruno's attention, and to command Cristiano Ronaldo's attention. You see, when you're a protege, you need a bad man to be your boss. Like when he speaks, you really just coil. And so I agree. He has lost the locker room, and he needs to go. And for me, I'm Team Zizou. I mean, Zizou may fire some life into your team.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you have that discussion lined up. So now, what went right for Liverpool? Salah is phenomenal. Salah went right for Liverpool. And Lady Luck, really, because all the 50-50, all the half bounces. That second goal that went through Shaw and Maguire. And then there was a ricochet that was as if a proper through ball for I think it was Alexander. I mean, there was a lot of Lady Luck on our side. Maybe the world is conspiring against Ole. I'm not sure. Like the forces of football are conspiring against Ole. Those three of those goals yesterday could have been dealt with. I mean, it could have been a 2-1 easily. So what went right is just, like I said, the right side of the bed for everybody in a red shirt yesterday.
Yeah, Mathew, to add something, that has to be one of the weakest Liverpool squads or team that Ole has faced in the past 3 years. That wasn't actually their best starting lineup. So that shows you how what Eric is trying to say, that everything went right for them, even when Klopp picked the wrong team. That had to be the best team that Ole saw outcome. You should have been so buzzed because it was supposed to be a weak team, but somehow everything worked for them, and they demolished the weak guys.
So let me throw this one in. Ole goes out, is fired by the board, let's say mid this week or end this week, because I mean, your next run of fixtures, Man United, you have still some tough teams to play. You have obviously Spurs coming up, and then you do have the Arsenal who will come up a bit later on. But your next run of fixtures is still going to be quite tough. So Zizou comes in, let's say, or rather, let me not even preempt that. Who would you say would be great at this moment in time to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Musem, that's yours.
Okay, before I actually pick one, let me just say something.
Let me
As
just
much
put
as
on record,
Ole,
first of all, Musem, sorry, before you continue.
yeah,
I am Ole in. Long may he
of
continue.
course.
I would love for him to go for another 3 seasons so that we can enjoy some special nights like this. But sorry, go
You
ahead.
know, the other day, Ole In was trending, and when you look at all the comments that were making that trend, that hashtag trend, it was Liverpool fans, Arsenal fans, Chelsea fans. So definitely everybody wants Ole In. But if you're to fire Ole today, okay, I don't believe there's any manager right now in the world who can handle the Man U team with the kind of setup that's at the club. Why do I say that? If you look at the setup of the club, actually, right now I don't even think we have a CEO because I think Ed Woodward resigned, though it's supposed to be effective at end of year. So who's running the club? That whole structure, there is no structure in the club. You have people like Fletcher. You have, I had, if Ole was to be sacked, Fletcher would be temporary, interim manager. I mean, as in the whole team is a shambles. One, the class of 92 is actually influencing matters at Old Trafford right now. Okay, everybody is coming in to defend Ole, so meaning that the influence of everybody at the back is an obstacle to whoever would come in. They have already said they don't want Conte to come in because they feel he's not a right fit for the club. So meaning that whoever comes in will never be a fit for the club and will face that kind of resistance. The same way Van Gaal received resistance because he was Dutch. The same way Mourinho received resistance because he was, eccentric and, bigger than life kind of, person. People need that nice person, I keep calling it vibes. There's that whole vibes thing, the United way, the United way. What the hell is the United way? We are almost 10 years away from Ferguson and the Busby Babes Plus, and people are still talking about the United way. So I feel whoever you bring in today is going to face the same resistance. A few matches down the road, he loses a game or two, and they will call for his head, which they're not doing for Ole. So I believe, as much as Ole is a terrible person, yes, he's kept stability at the club, but I don't see anyone who can run the club in the kind of environment that is behind there. A lot needs to change. A lot needs to change. I compare it with the Chelsea setup. You see, Chelsea has a very, very strong spine at the back there, in that they can fire a coach, let it be Lampard, a legend. They will call you up, put you to task, fire you, and bring in someone else who can do a better job in no time, right? That structure is not at United at the moment. We still have people who are singing Kumbaya, Ole, legend, and all those things. No manager can work with that setup. That's what. But you would want to get a proper coach, a person like Conte, who can put his mark, and say, this is how I want the players to play. This is how I want you to play. This is how I want to influence my players. And with authority. Eric talked about Ole having no authority. Ole actually has no authority, to the point that everybody can actually question Ole's decision. Everybody, from socials to his class of 92 people to his own players. You can't run a club when you have no authority. I'm telling you, if Klopp picked a very weak side yesterday, trust me, no one questioned Klopp. I mean, everybody is like, Klopp knows what he's doing. Let him do it. We no lose, So Ole does not have that authority, and it's going to take, I think, so much to replace Ole. You need to allow the manager to come in, have authority, and run the club as a manager.
Yeah, thanks for that. So Eric, let's conclude on all matters. Man United versus Liverpool. Liverpool, I tipped Liverpool to actually win the title. Musem, you remember that when we were doing EPL predictions for the season, and my prediction was that if Man United, Liverpool can actually manage to keep a lot of their players fit, they will be title contenders, and I actually put them as favorites for me to win the title. They're showing that form now. Of course, City and Chelsea are also showing great form, and we'll go into that. However, Eric, you have a potential stumbling block coming up in African Cup of Nations, where, of course, Mo Salah, Sadio Mane, Naby Keita will all be gone for that tournament for about a month and a half. Can you weather the storm and at least challenge for the title? Amidst that challenge or that storm, as I've called it.
Simple answer is no, we cannot. Look, the only place in our squad where we can afford to lose numbers is in the midi. Because in the midfield, everyone is not very different from the other person, with the exception of Fabinho. Fabinho is the only absentee that you really feel is on the sick bay. If we lose Mane, Salah, our wing backs on Van Dijk, then we are shaken to the core. Now look, Origi, Elliott is out, Minamino, Jota will stick around, Firmino will stick around. I mean, the gap is so big. If December doesn't find us with, and it's not going to find us with a good cushion, sadly. I mean, games like Brentford. So look, we're going to be playing catch up in January. But I expect some serious points loss, and that could really affect us. And I actually think we won't make it across the line. We may do number 2, just because of those 6 weeks. It's so sad, but so our hope now again is in Europe really. But in terms of the Premier League, AFCON has pretty much knocked us out. Just because of.
But then again, there are like 4 games. I think 4 games you can do something in 4 games, and they're not really tough games if you look at it. They could
actually be 2 games. They could actually be 2 Premier League games, and that is because the way it is scheduled. Klopp was saying that he might lose Mane and Salah mid-January, and then just miss them for 2 games, and they are very, very minor games. I think it is Watford and some other club. It's not
that was the initial information we had, and we were all just chilled. But something came out just this week, something about COVID protocols, and just the waiting time between exit and re-entry will lead to it being up to 4 to 6 weeks. So the games increased from 2, and they're like what, Mathew, 5, 6 now? Something like that. Some crazy number.
About 6 games. If I look at and you have a crazy run there. You kick off January with a game away to Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. That's on 2nd January. Then you have Brentford next. Then you have Crystal Palace away. Then you have Leicester City away. Then you have Norwich City, which we expect, of course, no less than 7-0.
Actually, in Premier League, it's only Norwich that is an easy team. The rest can fix you properly. Who else?
Then you have the Arsenal. Yeah, you have the Arsenal at the Emirates. Actually, you have Liverpool. You have a tough run of games. After the Arsenal, the Emirates, that is towards the end of Feb. You then enter March, the first week of March, with the 2 games. Liverpool, you welcome West Ham to Anfield, and then you are away to Brighton, and then have
West Ham is planning a top 4 finish.
Exactly.
Things are tight.
The games could be tricky.
The games are tricky. But gentlemen, we have to move away from all things Man United versus Liverpool. But before we do that, Eric, some words of encouragement for my man Musem. What would your words of encouragement be for the rest of the season? Because
bruh, we suffered. There was a time when Roy Hodgson was our coach. Please don't forget. There was a time when Paul Conchesky was about to buy
Kenny Dalglish.
Kenny Dalglish won us a trophy. Put respect on that name. He bought us Suarez. Put respect on that name. But anyway,
he paid more for Andy Carroll than Suarez.
He paid more for Andy Carroll. So for me, I keep telling guys that the only reason we learned O-level history, the only reason was appreciate the rise and the fall. The rise and the fall. rise and the fall of Mansa Musa, rise and the fall of the Ashanti, rise and the fall of the Ngoni. So like, we're witnessing a fall. We just how deep it will be, we don't know. But there's always a rise. So maybe when we're about 45, 50, you guys will be rocking again.
So Musem,
Only
that's
if
about
Ole stays in.
yeah, Ole in. Gentlemen,
Ole
let's
in.
move. Let's move on from that. As you can see, Ole is there scratching his head, and Klopp is fist bumping. It was a fantastic result for him. But moving on to the Emirates, and this is a game that actually kicked off the game week Friday night at the Emirates. Arsenal coming out 3-1 winners of Aston Villa. Looks like a resounding score, but it was actually a little bit of a tough game. Although Arsenal did dominate that one. I'll hand it over. I'll kick off the action with Cossy over there. What were your thoughts? Of course, Emil Smith were among others to dominate for Arsenal in that game. What was your take on the match, Cossy?
I think this season it's been our best performance. Forget about the halftime at Tottenham. I think that was our best performance as an Arsenal team this season. And I say that putting into consideration that Aston Villa were absolutely abysmal. They didn't, for me, they were not the Aston Villa I expected. And the managers, spoke about it. Their manager spoke about it in the press conference and said it was absolutely embarrassing. But the consistency, everything we did, it was performance that Arsenal, just it was a cut and copy from Arsene Wenger's book. So probably someone just picked it up in the locker room, and it was not swept under the carpet in the rubbish. And because it was a good performance, it was a very, very good performance. The way we played against Aston Villa, if we play like that with nerve, with that kind of intensity, intention, I think everything was right. I think it was one game where Arsenal just wanted to bounce back, and for once they did that. Because when you expect Arsenal to do something, for example, bounce back or get a second successive win, they don't do that. They do the opposite. But I was absolutely happy, with that game. I was absolutely happy with the performance. Mikel Arteta going for two strikers after the Crystal Palace. I think he learned from the Crystal Palace game that you just don't need to be so negative. You don't need to be so defensive. It doesn't help out when you play Crystal Palace, Aston Villa, Brighton. You don't need to be so defensive. You could be defensive against Liverpool. It's understandable. Be defensive against Chelsea is understandable. But if you defend yourself, if you start defending matches deep at 1-0 against Crystal Palace, at 1-0 against Aston Villa, it really doesn't make a lot of sense. And the tactics were spot on. I think sort of we caught Aston Villa by surprise. This season, they've not been so good for me. I mean, I don't know. They've not been so good. They're not the Aston Villa we know. And I think it's more of losing Jack Grealish. We all know what he meant to them, the character, the attitude, and what he brought on the table. And also probably, it's not their second season, but I could say the second season syndrome. Because last season they were so good, and this season, it's like their second season, at a proper top level. They've been found out. They're playing two strikers, Ole Watkins and Danny Ings. The partnership doesn't work. It's just not going right at the Villa Park. That's the truth. It's not going right there. But that doesn't take away anything, from that Arsenal performance. Credit to the boys. Smith Rowe, masterclass, man of the match for me. Partey scoring his first goal. Finally, I mean, what a fortnight it has been. Scoring twice for Ghana, then skipping 1 week. Really doing a lot of rubbish in that Crystal Palace game, and in the same week getting his first goal for Arsenal. Brilliant performance. We should keep it up. Definitely, we should keep it up.
So Musem, there's a gentleman who is now being referred to as the Croydon De Bruyne. Obviously, Croydon being an area within the UK, but that gentleman right there in the middle, Mr. Emil Smith Rowe, running the show, an assist, a goal in there as well, an assist for Aubameyang. and he ran the show. He ran Villa ragged. What do you have to say about not only him but the other band of kids coming to Tavares? As you can see, they're standing in for Kieran Tierney. We suffered immensely, much like Liverpool did last season when Kieran Tierney was injured, which he often is. But this season, I believe a competent replacement in there. Not to mention the likes of Saka, mention the likes of obviously Odegaard, a very young core being built. And Musem, I ask you because a famous Liverpool legend, Alan Hansen, once said, "You can't win anything with kids," which obviously sparked Man United into action, and we saw the kids taking over. So, what do you think the future holds for the Arsenal with this band of kids, and in particular, Emil Smith Rowe in that performance?
Emil Smith Rowe, the only thing I'm happy about is that he got me points in my fantasy team. Other than that, but that was a good performance, and I think Ole and Arteta have the same problem. Not picking the right team. How can you never put out your best team? When Arteta puts out such a team,
they must be on Abramovich's payroll.
There's something, because when Arteta puts out such a team, you saw the performance, right? Lacazette, everybody in there, and I think Partey had his best game in an Arsenal shirt, and that will be the catalyst of Arsenal performances. Of course, the midfield. We all know the midfield. If Partey can stay fit and show up like he did in that game, then Arsenal will cause many teams problems. And then there's that boy, Lukonga something.
Yeah, how about Sandy Lukonga?
I like him because he's so forward-thinking. He's fearless. He knows I will have to play this pass forward through the defense. I don't care if it gets there, but I'll play it nonetheless. Mm-hmm. That's a breath of fresh air for a team like Arsenal's, right? If only Fred could just make half the passes Lukonga made in that game, trust me, would be far. I like that kid, and he's very good. So yes, Arteta picked out the right team, and the performance really speaks for itself. I can't wax any more about Arsenal because I hate you guys, but that was a good game.
Good stuff. Eric, your take on it? And actually, Eric, I'd like you to comment on the fact, I know we spoke about the possible impact of African Cup of Nations, and we did, I did mention a few of the matches that Liverpool has, which is a tough fixture over January, February, and part of March. To be losing people like Mo Salah and Sadio Mane and Naby Keita and the likes. Arsenal will be losing some players as well. They'll actually be losing Thomas Partey and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang during that same period. And
I'll let Cossy comment on his team's readiness for that period. By me, I'll say that look, Arsenal is the joint second form team last 5 games, only behind Chelsea. It's joint second with Liverpool and Chelsea. I think Arteta is doing his work under the radar, but he's doing his work. Musembwa, when you're coaching kids, look, I have a bit of experience in team management from my rugby days. When you're coaching kids, an upcoming kids team, mixed in with some old horses like Aubameyang, you are dealing with a lot of moving parts regarding the kids' appetite for the big stage, then the old guys' appetite to put in a shift because they think they're going to make the team anyway. So when you see those guys not on the squad, I can tell you that week they were just not putting a foot in because they feel that I'm surrounded by kids. Saturday I'm playing, come on, buy. So this guy has to make some very crazy decisions that an outsider will just not appreciate. Then 1 week Odegaard is pussyfooting because he's a very and so really, which Ole doesn't have that excuse. Ole doesn't have it because for him he's dealing with a very seasoned squad.
Yeah.
Arteta is dealing with a very big mix. I mean, the number of caps or years between player A and player B is so big, so you have to deal with so many dynamics. I honestly think that Arsenal is going to boss this league in a couple of years. after Klopp and Guardiola and Tuchel leave. If Arteta can keep it together and wait for those Jamas to leave, 2024, no one is going to touch him, I believe.
Well said. Well said. Cossy, your view on that, as Eric, he swung that one back to you. How prepared do you think Arsenal are, much like Liverpool, will be in the period around AFCON? For the losses of Thomas Partey and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Of course, Granit Xhaka will be back that time, so we expect he will be around. But in the striking department, if Alex Lacazette does get an injury, it's over to the likes of Nketiah and Balogun.
Yeah, it's scary because we are not lucky as lucky as City. They don't have strikers, but they do have a big squad. United and Chelsea, they can just rotate, and if you didn't know that they rotated, you won't know because the result will stay the same. We don't have the luxury of squad depth like those clubs. I think we have the same problems as Leicester City and a couple of other mid-table teams, and it explains the reason as to why we are where we are. But I think come January, if Lacazette stays fit, Aubameyang goes, it's no problem. My problem is in the midfield because Partey contributes both to our offensive and our defensive. He's more of I would call him an engine. I would call him a Romdoit. I would call him anything in that Arsenal team. It's all about Partey. So you either need to get a cover because El Neni covers for literally at the moment. El Neni is covering for Partey. If both of them go out for AFCON, you need someone to come in. I've had talks of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and things like that. But I think what we need to do is get in someone at least on loan. I thought about players like Dennis Zakaria, great player from Gladbach. I think he's a great player. If you can get in someone to just cover for Partey, because inevitably there's no way you lose Partey and you're not affected. We will get affected with Aubameyang. You have Martinelli there probably playing at the left hand side of the pitch, and Lacazette in the middle. But in the middle of the park, in the middle of the park, we need a reinforcement. We will need reinforcement.
All right, brilliant. I think we'll leave all matters.
You have the budget for it. You have the budget for it.
I think it's a loan. I think it could be a loan deal. It's always. I mean, when have we brought in serious players in January? Aubameyang, Shavin, who else? It's going to be a long deal. It should be a long deal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have a budget for a January window. We haven't spent in about a year and a half. So I think I expect a marquee signing because, our January is a special. Suarez, Van Dijk, Andy Carroll. Those are all January people. So
yeah, Andy Carroll.
Yeah, but if you look at Eric, if you look at your structure now, your transfers are more like structured. I don't think your structure is really going to adjust.
I am pretty sure there is a guy Klopp saw last year and said, "I'll buy this guy in AFCON." When guys have gone for AFCON, that guy he's Klopp, man. He's the boss. He knows best. Klopp knows best.
You have Curtis Jones. You have Curtis Jones. You have Elliott. I think those guys, those boys are really coming up well.
Yeah, for the flying wingers, Mane Salah gap has to be filled.
No, but look at Man City. I mean, they're playing with midfielders. They're just cramming midfielders into the forward attacking game.
We're about to lose Salah. That guy wants 400K a week. He's going with.
No, give it to him. He said he wants to finish
wage structure. That's not the Liverpool way. That's the Man U way.
They don't have money. It's not about the way. If you can't afford, you can't afford.
Guys, let's move on to Chelsea. Speaking of money, these are the money bags. I think no one can doubt that. Of course, Newcastle will have something to say about that in the coming seasons. But for now, yes, thank you very much, Cossy. We outspent them in the last summer. Actually, we were the highest spenders in Europe in the summer transfer window. Cossy, can you imagine outspending PSG, Real Madrid, and Barcelona? Has it ever happened? Arsenal, I don't know. Something was amiss. But anyways, Chelsea, welcoming Norwich City to the bridge 7-0 without Romelu Lukaku, who a lot of Chelsea fans were worried but when he got injured, and of course not Kai Havertz, what's his name?
Timo.
Timo Werner, exactly, Timo Werner. But Mason Mount, who has been sleepy since the Euros, because I was actually not impressed with his Euros performances. But he all of a sudden came to life to the Mason Mount under Frank Lampard, the one that we saw under Frank Lampard, who was on fire. So 3 goals there for him. Callum Hudson-Odoi coming in as well. Reece James, who I rate very highly, and a little underrated number 9 in the making, Mr. Ben Chilwell, who has scored in his last 3 games. It's just that left foot of his. I don't understand it. But anyway, Chelsea coming out 7-0 winners. Musem, what do you have to say about Chelsea as contenders for the title?
Well, as previously, they've been up there. We've tipped them to be challengers to City for the title. But Norwich is a poor team. The only team playing worse than Norwich at this time, I think, is Ole's team. They're championship material. They are not good enough to be in the league. They shouldn't be in the league. And the funny thing is that they'll go back to the championship and outrun everybody in the championship, and then they will be back. They're just their performance was so poor. That said, yes, Chelsea has the tools to wash any team of such quality, and of course the most important tool they have is the manager. A manager who has authority, who knows what he wants, and all the players must fit into that plan. It doesn't matter which player shows up on the day. You have your 2 best strikers out injured, and you come up with a
Yeah, looks like we lost him there. But Eric, your thoughts on Chelsea's performance?
Sorry. Chelsea, I didn't watch the game, I must admit. I just saw the reels. Thomas Tuchel, I'm going to be very controversial, but me, I'm not yet flash in the pan. He's going to be found out. Kante came and took his first Premier League first season. He disappeared. He's going to be found out, and I think they're going to finish 3rd behind Liverpool and City, but they're a very solid squad. Lukaku, for me, I have a very solid Chelsea friend who has a very big football brain, and he told me Lukaku is a stumbling block for the way Chelsea is set up, because everybody's trying to look for him to fix him, and he's just a bumbling block, who is just forceful in nature. And you can see the day he steps aside, the floodgates open, because the more fluid, the more silky players are now allowed to find the gaps and shimmy and dink and whatever. Lukaku is just bumbling, he's just forceful, and I believe he's going to be a stumbling block for their title run in. But they're going to put in a show, and Tuchel, I don't think, has 3 seasons in him. He will be found out maybe next year, mid-season next year. He's still riding on the wave from the Champions League win. But there are only 2 coaches in England, and that's Klopp and Guardiola.
Cossy, what's your take on that? He forgot to mention Arteta.
Look, I mean, the prejudice cannot be, cannot be excused. But I think with Thomas Tuchel, I do have a problem with Thomas Tuchel since I love Dortmund so much. When he was at Dortmund, I thought, he was this kind of manager that was going to, build a brand of football. I'm still struggling to identify his brand of football, his style of play as a manager. But the good thing he has is he's so direct. He's very, very direct. He doesn't make things hard, and you saw it. You see it in that Chelsea side. If they're playing Liverpool, they sit back. As simple as that. They sit back. Is and get you on the break. If they're playing Norwich, they dominate you and open the and open the gates and score goals. I don't think Tuchel is gonna be here for a long time because nobody stays at Chelsea for a very, very long time. We all know that. If he wins the title this year, which I think he can, he's got the squad depth, something that is very, very important. And Liverpool, Liverpool fans, in the end, will appreciate the fact that having a big squad depth or a good squad depth really, really helps. You can ask Leicester City; they'll tell you being in the top three for almost forever, finishing in fifth, sixth, and Europa League, and probably not even in Europa League. So I think they can win the league. They are good. They capitalized on Norwich's performance. I think. Look, there was no. It was another one horse race. There was no competition for me. The manager of Norwich City needs to adjust or needs to go. One, you don't play like that in the Premier League. You don't open yourself. It's like Leeds. You don't open yourself like that. It's humiliating. It's embarrassing, right? You're playing against one of the best sides in your league. Give them the respect they deserve. It. They've spent the money. They've won the Champions League. They're up the table. Give them the respect. Don't make it too easy for them. Don't create the spaces for them. Chelsea were running riot in those trenches of spaces, and if it's Burnley, I'm telling you, if they play against Burnley, they could lose, but they could win 3-0. They could win 3-1. They're not beating Burnley 7-0. They're not going to beat Watford, right? 7-0. They're not going to. So for me, the problem is still the problem in that game was themselves. They were so embarrassing. There was nothing. There was not. They like to play, the Marcelo Bielsa kind of game. Open up, we open up. You can't open up against Chelsea, right? It's not. If it's boxing, you're not the same weight. Come on. But I think I disagree with Eric. There's so many good managers in the Premier League. Graham Potter is one of them. Brighton. I don't know if he can manage a big side, but he's a great manager. I still believe in Brendan Rodgers. He needs a big job. I would take him at Arsenal over Mikel Arteta personally. He doesn't really win a lot, just like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but they facilitate the preparatory process and phase very well. Bring them in. Build something, sack them, bring in a winner. As simple as that. I think Marcelo Bielsa is another good manager, very, very good manager. If you give him the tools, if you give him a club like Everton or Spurs, I think he could do the job very, very well. So I think there are a couple of good managers there, but of course, like I said, the prejudice is called for. I mean, Liverpool, they've got to enjoy the moment. How many years were those without seeing a Premier League title? How many years were those without even being recognized?
Going on 20.
30. Be serious.
So Musem, you know how many more years you have to wait? I think it's 10. You're halfway. I think another 10 years. Maybe your hairline will recede.
And we're on 10. Arsenal is on 20. So I don't know why you guys are talking.
And look, we have spent 2 decades without winning the Premier League or even contesting, and I think United will have to spend another decade, despite the amount of money they spend. They'll spend another decade.
I called it first. I said when we are 45. Cossy has agreed.
There's only one constant.
Sorry for exposing our age.
Gentlemen, Man City are not, they're not lifting the handbrake. They're their usual self. Everyone thought, they would struggle without the striker who they, so desperately looked for in the summer. Pep Guardiola decided, but I also think they were out of time in the summer, to be honest, transfer window. But Harry Kane was not forthcoming. But still, much like Chelsea, no problem. Their midfielders are doing the job. 4-1 away to Brighton and Hove Albion, who a lot of us have respect for as a team, very organized under Graham Potter. Gundogan kicking it off. Boy wonder Phil Foden with a couple of goals in there, and Riyad Mahrez score, putting the icing on the cake with a fourth goal. Foden with an assist in there, and Jack Grealish actually assisting. Bernardo Silva as well. Adding his, adding an assist and really being the workhorse there. So City keeping up the momentum. Musem, what is your view of City's run right now? They also, for me, are going under the radar because I feel a lot of the razzmatazz is right now focused on Liverpool and Mo Salah for good reason, as well as Chelsea. But I believe Man City, because they're obviously doing things that are expected of them, are going under the radar. And do they have the ability to? They certainly look like they will ride out that tricky period that we're, the period we're calling a wobbly time when African Cup of Nations tournament comes around. It's only Riyad Mahrez, I believe, that will be gone. The rest of their players will be there. What do you feel? What do you feel their performances will be like towards the back end of the season?
Well, Man City is Man City. They have a cheat code in Pep, but I believe Chelsea and Liverpool should run them close. If they do not get that striker, Liverpool and Chelsea should be able to run them close. Allow me to bring in something to do with Ole last season. Man City was so poor last season. I think at one point they were 8th when I think Spurs, Mourinho and Ole were top somewhere, Klopp. Man City was 8th. Liverpool had its issues, well documented. Chelsea had Lampard, who was fired mid-season. Mourinho is Mourinho. He blew it. Ole actually had a chance to win the league for the first time. If actually Ole was a serious coach, last season was a chance for him to win that league. And he blew it. That's the closest he'll ever come to the league. Allow me to go back now to Pep. Pep blew the window by not signing a striker. They should have gone for Harry Kane before they even signed Grealish. They don't need Grealish. Actually, Grealish now looks very ordinary in that team. And in so many games, actually, Grealish has been one of their poorest performers. It will take something. I can't bet on Pep. Pep can change any player. He can influence any player to become better, so you can't bet on it. But for now, and the English press is very quiet, but Grealish, £100 million man, very ordinary. Very, very ordinary. So let's see how it goes. But because of Liverpool's African Cup issues, and I don't know, Chelsea has, you can see Chelsea has some, frailties here and there, but I believe they should be able to run them close. We should have a closer title this season than last. Actually, eventually, Pep had 12 points on Ole. And people are making noise how Ole has, progressed and, we are moving forward. We're actually not moving forward. We are not. Ole should have won the league last season if he was serious. That was one of the weakest seasons for Pep, for Klopp, and Chelsea was in transition. They got a new coach. So Ole keeps telling himself that he's getting close to. He's actually going farther away from the title. He's miles away from the title. Pep is still the man to beat, but I believe Liverpool and Chelsea should run them close.
Great. Now, gentlemen, we're running out of time, unfortunately. Eric, I think I'll leave you to comment on ideally the last game of the weekend's rounds, in which the top 6 or traditional top 6 featured, and that was Spurs versus West Ham, and that game was away at West Ham Stadium, City of London Stadium, in there, and West Ham nicking it 1-0. Mikel Antonio putting Spurs to the sword. Is Nuno Espirito Santo in the same boat, actually in the same car as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
No, he's not. He's so unlucky, that guy. He has just inherited a squad that is tired of trying. They have tried for the last 4 years, almost I don't know if you watched Apocalypse or that almost tag. They are such almost Premier League winners, almost Champions League winners. Then they go for England, and the captain is almost a World Cup winner. Then he
Almost Carabao Cup.
then he almost goes to Man City. So I mean, how do you motivate such people? You come in. We also Nuno at his previous at Wolves. It was Wolves, yes. He's a good coach. He's a good coach. He produced Neves. He produced Jota. He produced, and I think he has a smuggling line in Portugal for players. I don't know if he'll bring them in at Tottenham, but his squad is tired.
There's money laundering at Wolves, by the way.
Yeah, probably something like that. His squad is tired. His team is tired, and I don't think that Daniel Levy has the patience or the business news to start a money laundering outfit at Tottenham that will get him some cheap Portuguese players. So look, Ole is alone. He is at 6 and 7. He's nowhere near top 6 quality. Nuno could have been a top 6 quality if he had a team like Leicester, a patient squad that is still hungry. He would have delivered something with such a squad. But Tottenham just has dead bodies, and Levy won't offload them. So he was set up to fail, sadly.
Cossy, where do you see Spurs finishing as we conclude?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say. They're just nicking performances. They just really picking performances off the road. I think they'll make top 10.
Let me rephrase that question, Cossy. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Do you see Spurs finishing above Arsenal come the end of the season, and in what positions?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think Arsenal will not make top 6 though. I've said this, time in, time out. I think Arsenal could finish just slightly above last season, 7th, around 7th, and then Spurs could come either 8th or 9th. I don't see Spurs finishing above us unless Mikel Arteta, wants to go, and I think he should go, but they don't finish above us. There is no reason. There is nothing, to explain, when they finish above us. They are dreadful. They are so dreadful. They can't finish above us. They can't even finish again. They shouldn't, and they must not finish above us. They can't.
Some beef.
All right, gentlemen, I think we'll have to leave it at that. We'll wrap it up for now. Thank you all for joining. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've just joined, feel free to catch up with the action by playing back. But most importantly, feel free to subscribe, like, and share our channel. Thanks to Musem, Man United man, there for joining. Our commiserations to you for the current predicament you find yourself in. Kudos to Eric with your Liverpool team, the cop flying for now. Cossy, my Arsenal colleague, thank you for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, feel free to head down to his YouTube channel, Cossy Arsenal channel, to check out some of his content, some great content. And we'll be back next time, same place. I wish you all a very good week. Thank you all for joining. Godspeed.
Ole out.
Mathew.
Ole in. Long may it continue.